This next example is going to get a little tricky. And so I want you to follow along and follow along the best you can, because I'm going to do some clever things, but we might not understand exactly why until we do several of these problems, because we discovered over time the result is what we want. But doing it to begin with, it's not intuitive. So I have a polynomial has 4 terms in it, and I'm going to ask you to factor it. Well, what's common between each of those terms? Let's look at my variables. Every term except for one has an x, so there's no variable that's common to each of those terms. Let's look at the constants. I have a 1, a 4, a 3, and a 12. 1 is really the only factor that's common to that, and it's already kind of written in that form. So looking at it, there isn't anything I can do. I can't factor this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to be clever. What I'm going to do is a process called factor by grouping. And what factor by grouping means is that I'm going to try to group 2 terms together. And hopefully when I do that, the small little terms, the small little brackets, I might be able to find something that factors out. So looking at these first 2, looks like I can factor out an x squared. And then what's left is an x plus a 4. Let's factor out in this second set of terms. What's between these 2? It looks like a 3 is common. And what's left is an x plus a 4. I can continue. Remember, we can factor as long as we remember where my terms are. I have 1 term right here and 1 term right there. What do you see that's common between both of those terms? An x plus a 4. That's correct. So I can factor out an x plus a 4. And then what's left is an x squared plus a 3. So I was able to take my initial problem and factor it, but I had to be clever. I had to come up with this idea called grouping to figure out if I group them in the appropriate way, will I find something in each term that's the greatest common factor? And in this example, I did.